I wish you had better advice to give too, because that sounds like a miserable life. Hey guys, I'm Devin Harrington, the average Gen Xer. Welcome back to my channel. On this channel, I talk about things that interest me, and today, there have been so many new moms writing posts on the Regretful Parents subreddit that I felt like making a video just on their posts. So these are stories we're going to look at today that are women that have recently had babies and realized they have made a huge mistake and they are regretting motherhood. So let's get right into it. Okie dokie, so I'm just going to read these stories. If you prefer to see the text of the post on the screen when I read it, please let me know in the comments. I'm trying to decide which is the most effective way to do this. So, first post. And this is by user My Solar account. And once again, this is from the Regretful Parents subreddit. This post is titled, "The very first thought I have upon waking is how badly I've fucked up my life." Jeez. And it's venting, no advice. And she says, "As soon as my body reaches consciousness and before my eyes can even open, I'm reminded of my reality and just how stupid I was. Until I get up and smoke my weed, which is the only thing that makes me smile and keeps me from thinking my terrible thoughts and wanting to end it. Every single day, every single year, I lay in bed and wallow and question, how could I have been so stupid as to have a baby at 19 with someone I barely knew, knowing I never wanted kids?" Well, ma'am, I would say it's because at 19, your prefrontal cortex is not developed. And we all do stupid shit when we're that age. In fact, that is in my opinion, a huge reason why people in their late teens and early 20s do such stupid things. I certainly did, because you don't have a sense of consequences in the future or if it's a good idea. So she goes on. "I wake up to screams and grunts and the same repetitive, I want PBS, I want milk, from my autistic 6-year-old. Every single day, I've accepted the fact that my life is over at 27. It was over at 25. It was over at 20. I'll never have a semblance of normalcy or happiness again. Funny thing is, I used to be beautiful and full of life, traveling, smiling, enjoying the world. I've since gained a bunch of weight, stopped caring for myself, and now I just lay in bed high majority of most days. I'm a shell of myself, and I feel like a walking shadow, just going through the motions every single day." God, that was so hard to read. Speaking of this woman's smoking weed all day, every day, as a former stoner myself, I can tell you a lot of your depression is eventually caused by smoking weed all day, every day. Even though you think it's the thing that keeps you sane, it's actually the thing that is making you depressed. But trying to get off of weed these days is hard. It's everywhere. It's easily available. It's part of the culture. In many states, it's legal. Um, and it's a hard detox. I mean, if you haven't smoked weed in the past 15 years or so, then you don't know what these scientists have come up with that they can grow. weed is not the same weed that it was in the 60s. So I feel for this girl. I mean, I don't even have kids, and I have been someone who smoked all day, every day, because I liked the fog around me. I didn't want to deal with reality. And I've done shows high, and I'm talking about acting, theater shows. I've done, I have been on TV shows where I could have gone to lunch with the cast, and instead I drove home because I wanted to smoke. So she's got kind of two problems here. I don't blame her for smoking weed because, my God, you never wanted kids, and then you get knocked up at 19 and you decide to have the kid? I will never understand the logic. I just don't get it. If you are someone who never wants kids and you're opposed to abortion, you should not be having sex because it's so easy to get pregnant for a lot of women, even on birth control, any kind of birth control. I mean, we all know women who have gotten pregnant when they're on the pill, or, when they have an IUD or whatever kind of birth control they're using. There is always a chance it will fail. So to say that your life is over because you had a baby at 19, I mean, I know it's not the popular opinion, but I would feel the same way. I mean, how can you be a kid yourself and not even know who you are and bring a baby into the world? It's just so wrong. It's so twisted the way we look at, and I'm talking about in the US. I live in Texas, so I know from which I speak. We have just become so obsessed with unborn children. It is ridiculous. Anyway, let's move on to the next post. And this is from user 8696. I didn't think it would be like this. Yikes. And this user says, I'm a 35-year-old female with 2-year-old twin boys. I've been married for 10 years, and for those years, I was okay with having children, and I was okay without having children. My only concern was I would regret not having children later in life. Now, my regret is having children. Why people don't understand this is why this channel exists, basically, is if I can influence one person who is on the fence about having kids, if I could convince them that is far better to get to the end of your life and wish you had had kids than to spend your life regretting the fact that you did have kids. So if you're on the fence, my God, please at least read some of these posts on the Regretful Parents subreddit before you just throw your life away on something you think you're supposed to do, or that you have no choice but to do, or whatever. She goes on, I had a typical pregnancy until 34 weeks when I developed severe preeclampsia and delivered via emergency C-section at 36 weeks. Both boys were in the NICU for 4 weeks. I wasn't able to bond with them, and I wonder if that is contributing to how I am feeling now. I love my boys, and I would never hurt or neglect them. I give lots of love, hugs, kisses, and attention, but I feel like it is all fake. I am adamant that I spend time with both of them and give them attention, but it is wearing me out. They call mama multiple times a day, and I can't get a few minutes for myself. Yeah, that's called having two-year-olds. People act like they're surprised that having kids is so hard. I suppose we all know someone who had kids without ever being around children, without ever babysitting when they were younger, without ever having to change a diaper. And then they have their own kids, and all they do is complain about how hard it is. Yeah, it's fucking hard. It's the hardest thing ever. I had to do it when I was a kid. As I've said many times on this channel, I am the oldest of four and the only girl. And so I was parentified. I was made into the third parent for my three younger brothers, particularly the youngest, who was born right after my 11th birthday. And it sucked. I hated it. And I was, also the housemaid and my stepfather's personal slave and all this other shit. But this woman is saying they call mama multiple times a day, and she sounds surprised about it. Come on. Okay, she goes on. My husband, their father, is very present and tries to help, but most of the time they only want me. I just went to the bathroom and they stood at the gate screaming and crying for me. I heard my husband trying to help and redirect them, but it was unsuccessful. I greatly miss my life before children. I miss sleeping in on the weekends, relaxing on the couch watching TV, not cooking meals every day, etc. It really is just wearing me out. I am burnt out from parenting, but I have put myself in this situation. I mean, at least she can admit that. I have family that helps, but I feel guilty asking for additional help because caring for two children is difficult and I don't want to burden or burn out my family members. I am currently taking a high dose of antidepressants, and I feel as if they are somewhat helping, but also increasing my fatigue. Yeah, that can be a problem. You gotta trial and error with antidepressants. I mean, there are plenty of them, plenty of different ones. So you got to find the combination that works best for you. She goes on, I have worked with a psychiatrist and tried multiple meds and feel this is the best med combination possible without severe side effects. Okay, so she did her due diligence. I'm fatigued 24/7, even if I sleep 8 to 10 hours a day. The fatigue is decreasing my patience and making parenting extremely difficult. I've completed sleep studies and the results were unremarkable. I also take a high dose of a stimulant for ADHD. That must be Adderall, maybe. And I still have a hard time staying awake during the day. I feel like all of this is contributing to my regret of having children, but I really don't know what to do. I know I can't go back to my life before children, but that is all I think about. Has anybody else felt like this or have any suggestions? I created this account today to post this and not be affiliated with my original account because this is so embarrassing. I really hate that I regret becoming a parent. I mean, it's hard not to judge, because how I guess since I grew up being forced to care for my younger brothers, I knew exactly how hard it was. And you can't blame people for growing up and not knowing what it's like to be around kids and then later in life deciding to have kids. But my God, people, you have to think about what you're doing. So many people just go into having children and think, it's going to be a Hallmark movie. This woman had two twins, and I have twin brothers, younger brothers, and I have pictures of me at like 4 years old holding the two babies. And my mother told a story once where she opened the door to my twin brothers' rooms, and they were both standing up in their cribs, reaching into their diapers and throwing poop at each other. That's a scenario that I never want to be in. And I would think most people wouldn't want to be in. Especially at the time, my mother was a single mom, a divorced single mom, and with twins, you're outnumbered. That it's just a terrible situation. So there's a couple comments on this particular post. I'm Patient Flavor, who is a parent, says, you should definitely take the help. You'll still be burned out, but it helps calm things down for a moment. Breaks are so important that the US even has laws that demand employers give employees breaks. Not in Texas, baby. I have severe sleep issues, and I am also on meds that make me feel tired constantly. One thing that kind of helps is my husband has agreed to give me Friday to Saturday night, where he handles all night wakes and lets me wake up naturally on Saturday. Well, that's a what a concept. A father taking care of his children so the person who gave birth to them can relax for a change. She goes on, I also delivered via emergency C-section, and I felt like I also had problems bonding with my child. I think faking it has slowly been making it turn real. I wish I had better advice to give. Yeah, I wish you had better advice to give too, because that sounds like a miserable life. What kind of life is that? Having to fake love for your kids? Why did you have them? Why? Why have children? Especially nowadays. There's 8 billion of us on this planet, and you're going to just dump more useless consumers on the earth? I mean, what is the point, really? What is the point? The next comment is by Rocket Birdo, and they said, that is such a tough situation, and it's such a double-edged sword, wanting kids, but not knowing how we'll react to it until we're in the situation. Not to mention the pressure projected onto us from society, making it feel like it's something we should do, or like not going down that path would lead to regret. It seems to make a lot of people pressured into becoming parents, but I digress. I think you're a great mom and seem very attentive and like you do want to do your best for your boys. It's just the constant effort and always having to be attentive is so overwhelming and exhausting. I think a bit of alone time just to yourself would do wonders. I know that's easier said than done in current circumstances, but perhaps beginning to foster and encourage their independence more, encourage them to do things on their own. Come on, lady, they're 2 years old. You can't leave a 2-year-old to go do shit on their own. Never mind two of them. If that's a possible thing, it doesn't need to stick right away, but just building the habit into the future. It is very beneficial for kids to have independence in their older years, so perhaps now you and your husband can begin gently steering them more in that direction. Habits take a bit of time and consistency to stick, but it could free up more time for you in the future. Good Lord. The last comment on this that I'll read is from Evergreen Moss Avonlea. My situation is similar. I also have twins, and after a complicated pregnancy. The girls were born at 33 weeks. They were 5 weeks in the NICU. My family is very far. I left their father when the twins were 8 months old. He was abusive and doing hard drugs. And both girls are special needs. I know I say this like every time I read these posts, but why is it that it seems like every other kid born these days has some kind of special needs? Is it even that special anymore? Because it seems like everybody's on the spectrum. Everybody's got learning disabilities. Everybody, I mean, it's overwhelming. And you are rolling the dice when you have kids. You don't know how they're going to come out. You could have a kid that is so disabled that they are going to be a baby their whole lives, and it's on you to take care of them. So all of the dreams you have of their future and watching them grow up and yada yada could just go right out the window. I think a lot of people have kids because they have this vision in their mind about how great it's going to be. And society does really, especially in the US, where religion has, don't even get me started. But yes, people are told that they have to have kids, that there's something wrong with you if you don't want children. And all of that is nonsense. All of that is someone else's opinion. If you don't want kids, stick to your guns, because there is no village. Your whole family can promise you that they're going to be there for the kids. They're not. There's plenty of posts in here where all these women say, "Where is my village?" There is no fucking village. Get over it. If you have a baby, it's your problem and your responsibility. Why that is not obvious to every woman who gets pregnant is beyond me. She goes on, "I'm just tired and overwhelmed. 24 hours a day is simply not enough for me to take care of everything. I have a career, a house, a dog, all this plus the constant drama with their father. I am so tired." That is just miserable. And all of her problems could go away if she hadn't had children. That's the saddest part, because you can't take it back to customer service if you don't like being a parent. You can never abandon your baby. I mean, it's a whole person. Even as a baby, babies absorb the energy around them. I read a story about an 8-month-old baby whose father was so abusive that the baby learned to pretend to be asleep as soon as the father came in the room. So all of these things need to be considered. I mean, why have fucking twins with an abusive guy who's on drugs? Why? Because you're afraid to have an abortion? You're afraid you're going to regret not having children? No, no. All of that is just made up nonsense. Okay, next post. And this is by user copy compound. It's titled, "Kids 3 Years Old, Still No Love for Them." And she says, "I never wanted kids. My husband loves having a family. I just play a role for the past 3 years to be a good mom, be patient with them, read to them, play with them, no screen time. But I die inside." That is fucking tragic to me, because once you have kids, your life has to revolve around those kids. And why would you put yourself in that situation if you don't want them? Because your husband wants them? That is, what century are we in? She goes on, "My husband knows how sad, oh my God. My husband knows how sad I am, but he doesn't know the very deep end of my thoughts and emotions. I have fantasies of if my kids would die, I would feel relief. I have fantasies of divorcing and leaving my husband, whom I love, just to have a break. If someone would ask me what comes to mind when I think of my kids, it would be exhaustion, baggage, and feeling trapped. This is a woman who never should have had children. Every child that is born into this shit show we call planet Earth should be wanted, should have the best chance for a successful life, should be born to people who are somewhat well adjusted, and that's just not what happens. It's sad. It's wrong for those kids to be born into this, because no kid deserves a mother that never wanted them, that can't stand taking care of them. I mean, what do you think? The kid's going to grow up and then you're going to enjoy being a parent? I just don't get it. She goes on, "I am so miserable, and I also hate that I can't be myself at home. I literally feel like a psychopath who needs to keep this role up, because it's not their fault they were born. They didn't ask for it. But I hate that I did this for my husband. Life is so short, and I hate that I sacrificed this for him. Yeah, I hate it for you, ma'am. I hate it for every woman that really didn't want kids and knew that in her own mind and then gave in to their partner who wanted kids. Because we all know the mother is the default parent. And yes, there are men out there who do more than their fair share, but there are lots of men out there who just think having kids is playing with them and then handing them over to mom. It's just wrong. Okay, comments on this one. Laburkus 3000, who is a parent, says, you two should handle this together. If you feel like this, he is the one person who should help you out of this dark place. I have an idea. Mommy is sick and needs a week off in a spa. This is no joke. You need to recover, and not only once, but recurring breaks before you break. And the original poster, Copy Compound, said, so yes, that was one of my requirements before having kids. If we have them, I regularly need to be away alone to recharge because it will be very exhausting on me. But I could only do it twice so far. We are abroad without family, and one of my twins has a severe disability. See? I don't know if these people post on Regretful Parents and are regretful because of their children's special needs, disabilities, or if they would still be regretful if their kid didn't have those issues. It's hard to tell, but it does seem like the majority of the people who post on this subreddit have kids with special needs. It's really tragic. And Laburkus 3000 responded, twins, disability? Okay, this is another level. I was thinking you have one healthy 3-year-old. For sure, you must feel very exhausted. I hope things will get easier soon for you. I have a boy who's 4 years old and a 1-year-old baby. And I also have no breaks, but I was thinking you have a chance to get some free time. I mean, why? Why do you need free time? If you want children so badly, which this lady didn't, but for the people who are out there who want children so badly and think it's the greatest thing to be parents, to be raising the next generation, what do you need breaks from if it's so great? You need breaks because it fucking sucks. That's why. Okay, last one. And this is from Pinkboo34. And it's simply called, I Hate Being a Mom. Hey everyone, I'm a new mom, 7 months in, and I hate every moment. Even all the good ones are almost always on the next minute are covered by something bad. I grieve the life I had constantly. Right now, I'm at my in-laws, while my mother-in-law is trying to put down my baby who has not wanted to nap for the last 35 minutes. Maybe she'd be a better mom than me. My baby deserves better. Yes. Yes. Your baby should only arrive if you absolutely 1000% want to have a baby. Otherwise, you got no business raising kids. I literally hate my life so much. I hate the day in and day out of nonstop caring for another human is just too much for me to handle. Every day is another day of hell. None of this is her fault, but I'm struggling so hard. My husband really upset me the other day. We got into a fight and I said, I hate being a mom. And my husband says, fine, then leave. Like, that's such a good thing to say to someone who has been suicidal in the past. Then on top of it, dealing with intense postpartum depression, ADHD, MDD. I'm really not even sure what that is. Okay, so MDD is major depressive disorder, which makes me think, if you have all these issues, what are you having kids for? You want to doom them to those issues too? Because you don't know. They may or may not have major depressive disorder too. And you want to doom someone to that maybe just so you can say you reproduced? It's fucking dumb. She goes on. What is he thinking? I'm just so tired. I'm tired of this life I created for myself. I have no choice but to just live this life now, and there's no turning back. My husband loves our baby, and I love my daughter so much. I just hate caring for her. So if you had the money to have 3 shifts of nannies coming in, this is like, I don't know why it's not obvious to everyone how life-changing having a kid is, which is why I never wanted any part of it. User Bellanora commented, your husband was clearly also just as overwhelmed, or perhaps incompetent, to be so insensitive with his response, which means you feel bound to not leave because he needs you in reality, and it would also mean leaving the baby in incapable hands. Yeah, this life fucking sucks, and life is too short to have to suffer like this. The only guaranteed payoff of us having children is that they become workers and consumers of society. Everything else about, oh, they'll be your caretakers or whatever is trash, because Americans overall barely respect their elders and take care of themselves with one job. Yeah, Americans barely can live on one job these days. But the comment, who's going to take care of you when you get old, just infuriates me, because the same people that work at the nursing home that are going to take care of you when you get old. Everybody thinks their kids are going to line up to be their caretakers and change their adult diapers and wipe the drool off their face if they get to that point. Your kids don't want to do that. They have to go work so they can pay their bills. Unless you leave them a huge inheritance. I mean, I talk about my grandma on this channel specifically because she had 6 children and untold numbers of grandchildren. And she always said that, whatever happens, all I ask is that you do not put me in a nursing home. And she lived in her house until she was 89. And she lived with my uncle, who lived there his whole life. And she gave him power of attorney and power of, medical stuff, and handed her life over to him because she had always taken care of him all his life. She cooked his meals. That was her generation. So she thought he would take care of her. No, my uncle was an alcoholic, a diabetic alcoholic. And he would just throw a lean cuisine in front of her for all her meals. This woman who spent her life caring for other people, and then after she raised her 6 kids, she went on to become a nurse. So the insult of that, the disrespect of that is so sick. And that's not even the worst part. He then put her in a nursing home. My mother and my aunt had worked out a way that Medicare was going to pay for 3 shifts of visiting nurses so my grandma could die in her house like she wanted to. But nope, my alcoholic uncle said nope. What he really meant was, I want to sit here and drink all day in peace, and if there's nurses coming in and out, they're going to report me. So no, she's going to a nursing home. What a piece of shit. Well, he got his comeuppance because he was dead within a few years, losing toes, having a leg cut off, drinking all day long when you have diabetes is not the best idea. But I digress. Anyway, here's the last comment from Background Flamingo 49. I also opened a topic a few days ago. I am also a mom of a 7-month-old, and I fucking hate it. We're in the same awful boat. Sending big hugs. Sending big yikes. And that's what I have for you today, guys. If you like this video, please like it. Please leave a comment. Subscribe if you're not already subscribed. I love to read everyone's comments and hear what you think about the stories that we read on this channel. And if you made it this far, you're a trooper. Thank you so much. And I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much.